I'm Ben Hooper, and this is Weekend Odds and Ends, a special Friday edition of the UPI Odd News Minute for January 10th, 2025. Welcome to Weekend Odds and Ends, our weekly roundup of the missed odd-portunities that didn't quite make this week's podcasts. First up, 2 lynx cats have been spotted on the loose in an area of Scotland where 2 other felines of the species were rounded up one day earlier. Authorities captured 2 Eurasian lynx in the Cairngorms National Park on Thursday, and investigators said they suspect the animals were illegally set free intentionally. The lynx were turned over to the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland's Highland Wildlife Park for care. Police Scotland said 2 more lynx were spotted in the area Friday morning. Members of the public are being urged to avoid the area. Eurasian lynx, the largest species of lynx, were once native to Scotland but died out 500 to 1,000 years ago. They are still found elsewhere in Europe, Asia, and Russia. Moving on from feral feline fugitives to aquatic apnea accomplishments, an Australian freediver went for a 370-foot, 2-inch stroll at the bottom of a pool to break the Guinness World Record for the longest underwater walk with one breath. 35-year-old Amber Bork, who has been freediving for over 10 years, spent weeks training in and out of the pool to break her own personal record of 334 feet, 7 inches, as well as the Guinness World Record of 357 feet and 7 inches. She said, "I wanted to do this both for my own sense of accomplishment. It has always been a dream of mine to hold a Guinness World Records title, and also to raise money for the Australian Marine Conservation Society in the process." Bork's underwater walking technique involved bending at her hips so her torso was at a 90-degree angle in a swimming-like position, while her feet were planted on the floor of the pool. Bork already holds 17 Australian freediving records and 1 International Association for the Development of Apnea world record for swimming underwater. Meanwhile, on the bovine beat, a cow that escaped by vaulting over a 5-foot fence was captured on the railroad tracks near an Oregon highway after fleeing pursuit for several days and crossing a river. The Oregon State Police said the 4-H cow had jumped over a 5-foot fence and a 3-foot barbed wire fence to escape a property in Washington and headed toward Oregon. The cow eluded pursuit for several days and was spotted emerging from the Columbia River on January 1st. The bovine ended up on Interstate 84 near Hood River, where an OSP trooper joined in the pursuit. The OSP said, "Unfortunately, the cow jumped the median into the eastbound lane of I-84. It continued heading west along the eastbound shoulder before heading toward railroad tracks. The cow walked several miles along the tracks and through a tunnel. The chase came to an unusual end when a young woman attempted to block the cow's path on the railroad tracks. Officials wrote, "The cow stopped, stared at the young woman, and then collapsed from exhaustion. The cow was located into a horse trailer for transport to a nearby property until he could be reunited with his owners." In more literary news, the New York Public Library celebrated the return of a copy of Igor Stravinsky's 1936 autobiography, 72 years after it was last checked out. Billy Parrott, director of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library, said he received a call a few days before Christmas from the library's Fifth Avenue branch. The situation turned out to be the return of a book that had been checked out April 4th, 1952, and had been due back 2 weeks later. Parrott said the book was returned by a man who explained his mother had checked it out from the library's Woodstock branch in the Bronx while she was studying music at Hunter College. The woman never got around to returning the book and even went on to work at a New York Public Library location in the Bronx for a short time. Parrott said the book will not be returned to circulation, but will instead be kept for the curiosity and engaging story. And finally, in our recurring segment, The Afternoon Rush, serial Guinness World Record breaker David Rush teamed up with a basketball fanatic to reclaim the title for the most behind-the-back basketball passes in 1 minute. Rush originally broke the record with former neighbor Jonathan Hollywood Hannon with 61 passes in 1 minute, but their record was later taken by another duo who managed 65. Rush teamed up with lifelong basketball fan Chris Stumpf to attempt to retake the title. The two men were able to pass the ball behind their backs 70 times in the allotted minute, retaking the record. For these stories and more national, international, sports, entertainment, science, and odd news from United Press International, visit UPI.com. Follow the UPI Odd News Minute on YouTube and TikTok. How long can you hold your breath underwater? Brag about it in the comments.